I've reported on some of the most unpleasant people in history, but after spending countless hours sifting through the Epstein files, none have ever shocked me as deeply as the convicted paedophile. So who was Jeffrey Epstein really? And were there warning signs that this was the makings of a monster? Epstein was born into a working-class family in Brooklyn, the grandson of Jewish immigrants. As a young boy, he excelled at maths and piano and was also a keen Boy Scout. Friends described his parents as wonderful, caring people. It was a seemingly normal, happy, if unremarkable upbringing. But there were early signs Epstein felt he was destined for something more than suburban life. And it was this dogged devotion to self-interest that began to contaminate the lives of all those around him. First, it was lying on his CV to land a teaching job in a prestigious private school. Then it was violating regulations and expensing personal gifts while working on Wall Street. By the time he was 27, Epstein was earning $200,000 a year and had been named Cosmopolitan's Bachelor of the Month. And he was already gaining a reputation as an inveterate liar and cheat. But despite this, he scored the gig of a lifetime, being hired by multi-billionaire Les Wexner, the owner of clothing labels including Victoria's Secret. With access to Wexner's fortune, Epstein's own wealth increased stratospherically. And it was this moment that laid the foundations for what would become an extensive sex trafficking operation. Epstein's connections put him at the heart of a nexus of financiers, banks, institutions and politicians. And despite his conviction for soliciting a minor for prostitution in 2008, the rich, powerful and famous still came to his table. He didn't need the threat of violence to bend people to his will. He had something more powerful, knowledge of their finances, their private lives, and in some cases, their darkest secrets. He collected people like Pokemon cards, a former president, a former prime minister, a member of the royal family. Epstein's attitude towards women, girls and famous names was as transactional as his approach to stocks and shares. The financier would seek out new faces from around the world, reel them in with some financial lure, and then ultimately discard them when, in his words, they grew too old for him. Emails analysed by the Telegraph reveal that Epstein used a repeated pattern of carrot and stick with different women to lure them into his sexual abuse, often repeating his same idiosyncratic phrases. There are consequences, more whining. At some point, you will need to own your own disgusting behaviour. In Epstein's world, women were to be used, traded, or abused.